what is one, if you could only give one piece of advice to a woman who really wants to this character trait and reveal the aspect of God more in her life, what is one piece of advice that's very practical you can offer her?
Be sure, be sure to be praying for discernment because we can do a lot of damage trying to advocate as well as a lot of good. You know,
Mm.
if we're just a rescuer and covering someone and not teaching them what they need to know to stand up for themselves, or there are some situations they may need to walk through. I'll be there with you, but you're going to have to walk through this. I can't do it for you. To realize that there are times when you can't do it for them. And also, I had this conversation recently. There are people who we are not going to be the ones to help them. We're just not. For some, we may be too close to the situation. We may not have the tools to help them, but we have to understand and pray that God will send someone that they will listen to, that God will send someone. But if they're not wanting our help or rejecting us, it's okay. We're not going to be able to help everyone, and to let that affect our self-confidence and our ability to rise up next time when we see someone that we might be able to help. Don't let that bring you down. Realize there are also people you're not going to be the one to help, but just use discernment, just pray, just ask the Father, and then read the room. Be able to read the room, that old saying, you know, uh, the atmosphere, what's really going on, jumping in to help someone then when they're really just wanting to talk to you.
Oh,
Sometimes
that's
they
a good
just need
one.
an ear, to listen to. And you've had people say, I didn't want them to fix it. I just wanted them to listen. Read the room.
That's something that as a leader, it's something that I've learned to do is when someone comes to me, I ask, what are you looking for from me?
Yes.
Because I'm not going to give advice. This is one thing I learned. I don't give advice. You specifically say you want my advice because maybe they don't want my advice. Maybe they just
Right.
need someone to listen. Yeah. And there's been
Exactly.
times too, to your point, where I was not the person to help them go through whatever they went through for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I had to learn to not take offense and to pray, like
Yes.
you said, that someone would come alongside them. And in the end, after a while, they found their person and they were able to dig themselves out of the hole they were in. My job in that situation is I'm just there to sow seed. I'm not there
Yes.
to control or prepare. Like I can't determine the ground the seed is planted in. I'm just there to sow seed and God does the rest, right? So, I may sow someone else gonna reap it, and I just have to be grateful that I had an
Yes.
opportunity to be a part of it, whether it's ever recognized or not.
And, we have to understand we're not doing it for the glory. If you are, you're in wrong reason to advocate for someone. That's not love.
Because
They
sometimes
may never
advocating
know.
is, yeah, advocating sometimes is winds up being worse for you. It's actually not always an ideal situation, right?
Yes.
So it's it is very selfless to advocate for somebody, being
Mhm.
other-centered. But wisdom, discernment is so important when you're
It
doing it.
really is.
And it reminded me when you were summing that up at the end. At some point in my life, I learned, and I'm sure somebody said this to me. I don't think I came up with it, but I'm not save anybody. Jesus is
Yes.
the savior of that person.
Absolutely.
So I always have to catch myself when I am helping somebody, counseling somebody, walking somebody. It's very easy to get emotionally involved because you love people and you care for them. But
Yeah.
then the question has to be, am I trying to save them? Because I'm not their savior. So
Yes.
I'm not there to save them, but I love how you said it because you're there to empower them, lead them to the savior. So that is a good distinction, always checking the
Yeah.
motives of your heart every time you are advocating is
Right. And I love what you said about not being offended, because we can't be thin skinned and be an advocate. either, because if you're expecting recognition for anything you might do, that again is not love. You know, you have to really,
Person needs an advocate for a reason, which means you're taking the punches for that person sometimes.
yes,
So it's not.
sometimes you do.
Okay, so now tell us all about deactivating triggers.
Well, it would never have happened without your help and Melissa's and the company, but it's called deactivating triggers, finding peace in a angry, chaotic world. It's my testimony, but it's also full of tools and strategies to help people overcome the wounds and the hurts and the trauma, of different situations. And it's I hadn't thought of it before until you asked me to be on your podcast, but I guess it really is a book about advocating. I'm trying very hard in the book to advocate for those who may have suffered the same bitterness, resentment, anger that I did growing up and even in my younger adult years, that I had to get past and to forgive myself in order to have that peace and harmony, in order to have that relationship with the Lord that brought the happiness and the contentment, and that transformed my life, that gave me a relationship with my family that I would never have had if I had continued on down the path that I was on. So that's what the book is all about. It's empowering people and providing them with the tools and the resources, and to help them understand that you can overcome. You can speak up for self. You can rise up, and going on and have that in your life.
Advocating for oneself, like your book teaching people how to, in essence, how to advocate for yourself, walk through this life
Yes.
empowered, is so important. But there are moments in life where you're so beaten down, you're so dark, you just can't muster up what you need to
Yes.
advocate for yourself, which is why then someone else can come alongside you
Yeah.
and do that on your behalf. So, not only what I want people to take away from this is not only that we need to advocate for others, but we also need to allow others to advocate for us, because there's
Yes.
times where we're going to advocate, and then there's times where we need to allow other people to do it. Because,
Yes.
hey, life isn't always easy. And there may be times where I'm in a great time of life where my faith is super strong and I can come alongside and advocate for you. But then something happens that beats me down, and it
Yeah.
tears me down, and I'm a little weak at the moment, and I need that person to help me, to pick me up. I
Yes.
always use the example of military. So when a soldier is down and they're hurt, always two soldiers, I mean one, but ideally you want two soldiers to come alongside. They pick up that soldier and they take that soldier to safety so that they can heal. And that requires you to be around community
Yes.
that you trust. When you're hurt in that way, you don't dictate where you're going to go for help. It's those two
That's right.
soldiers that are taking you, and you just have to trust that they're going to take you
That's
to the
right.
right place. So who you surround yourself with is so
Yes.
absolutely important. You want to make sure in those moments where things get so hard that you do need someone to advocate, they're going to have your back and take you to the right place so
Yes.
that you can get healing.
And your example about the soldiers is beautiful, because their motto is no one left behind.
Yes.
No one left behind. And two, another little piece of advice that you just reminded me of is don't hesitate to ask for it, for the help when you need it. When you're feeling like that, don't feel like that alone.